All right, welcome back, race fans. We have INDYCAR up across the border in the Great White North of Toronto, on the streets of Toronto this weekend. And we do have Chase Holden, boots on the ground. He's on the scene, ready to report live. So I'm sure we'll get a bunch of good insight from him. I'm going to hand it off to William, our principal software engineer, to start emceeing the show.
Yeah, I'm William Malati. Great to be here again for another IndyCar show. We've also got Ben Scruggs in the house, writer of some wonderful grid rival content. And we're going to talk about our final street course event of the year, the Toronto Grand Prix. And first, let's quickly go over Iowa. Big winners from Iowa, from the Iowans of Hutter Ryan. Are these plus minuses just from Iowa too, or are they from the whole weekends?
Just from Iowa 2. So from Iowa 2 over.
Okay, so from Iowa 2, since that's what my notes have handy. Jacob Abel, a big winner. Christian Rasmussen, Christian Lundgaard, and Marcus Armstrong, and Renus VK all up $1 million plus. Will Power, a loser in at least the second race. Colton Herta had a rough day. Of course, Scott McLaughlin crashing out early in that second race after having a good first race. So I suspect if I go over to the other tab, that was about a wash, like for the weekends. Who else?
Penske had a very good Saturday and then a very poor Sunday. It was like just when we thought they were back. They were indeed not back at all.
Yeah, so those were the drivers having a rougher time this past weekend, but street course is going to bring us probably some different drivers up at the front. Apart from Pelot, who is hard to stop, a fifth and a first this past weekend. The most points you can gain is 40 points, assuming everybody starts the race. So Pelot could put himself to where he just has to start every race and he wins the championship, depending on how this weekend goes. So third in practice, looks to be one of the early favorites. Other drivers fast in that first session, Kyle Kirkwood. Watch out for that Holy Andretti organization. McLaughlin was up there. And have any takes from Iowa before we get into Toronto?
907 points, race one.
He did do that. He got 907. I think I was at like 876. The Penske trifecta, the power triangle Penske's, however you want to put that, power Penske triangle, it worked for Saturday, did not work for Sunday like you were saying. But yeah, race one was the big points maker. I think race two, I know for me and for a lot of people that I spoke with that were playing on Grid Rival outside of us, they all told me that they were completely creamed and crushed on Sunday. So there was like one or two people that did fantastic. So whoever had Scotty Mack as a talent driver on Saturday, that was the magic button. That's what it was.
I had Newgarden like a sucker.
Me too.
That's still not a bad choice.
If anyone did well on both days, I will be shocked, because I think we talked about last shows. Either you were all in on the Penske's or you were buying into the voodoo curse and you were out on them. So the people who were going the other way probably had bad Saturdays and a really good Sunday. And
there were no lineups that worked both days at all. Yeah, I checked out some of the high scoring lineups for race 1 and 2, and yeah, definitely all of them had McLaughlin talent driver on race 1. But yeah, no, whoever was in the chat last time saying we're crazy for repping Penske, like, no, it took 2 horribly timed yellows on Sunday, or else Newgarden would have won that one too. So
Newgarden should have won both races easily. Like, he was by far the best car on Saturday. Bad pit stop kind of dooms him, and then he just never had a chance to really get by Pato at the end there. But Pato was never passing Newgarden on track. It was never even a possibility. And then Sunday, it happened once. And just the fact that he came back into contention, and I was like, oh, he's actually going to win it. I was like, oh, he's done. Oh, wait, no, he's actually just going to win again. That's how good he is. Then it happens a second time, and you're like, there is no God at that point.
And he still got up to 10th, even after getting shuffled back twice.
Which is also incredible. It was so late.
Yeah, he won 2.5 races on Sunday. just not the last half that mattered.
Yeah, just no actual trophies, unfortunately. Yeah. So in the company league, 950 and 678 were my numbers. My $100 million lineup was 957 and 562. So yeah, another one of those like tale of 2 days kind of things. Like McLaughlin obviously was much better on one day than the other. Connor Daly was somewhat better on one day than the other. Like that was the big difference, at least in my lineups. I did have them in both races. And actually, I was going to pick up Siegel for race 2. I thought he was going to bounce back, but then they'd rolled him out. I had to go a different direction. Good to see him back this weekend. That first race was looking really good until that wreck towards the end.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing to take away from this is I feel like everybody got to be right. That was good. Everybody here at least got to be right because we had the 2 races. So
for sure.
Good.
Yeah, it's like if you're a talking head on TV or a politician. It's like, I'm going to talk about Saturday. You ask me about Sunday, I'll just deflect the question. Exactly. But it's like, oh, I was right about Saturday. Sunday, that didn't even happen. I guess if we steer it away from Penske a little bit, which I think Penske is pretty obviously the story of the weekend, and we kind of knew that was going to be the case. Christian Rasmussen put together a really nice weekend. He is a demon on the ovals. He's making things 3 wide. He's going on the high line. He was just all over the place, and he made the move stick. 2 top 10 finishes for a guy who we had, I don't know, what was 13 million, I think, going into the weekend. Probably one of the few drivers that had significant gains after both races. So credit to him. That was someone that stood out to me.
He's making the Gingers proud. William, I mean, that's your boy, dude. I mean, real talk.
Yeah, Rasmussen is definitely on my radar once we get to Milwaukee, Nashville to finish out the season next month. Definitely on my radar. ECR has a good oval history. Rossi didn't have such good luck this past weekend, but yeah, Rasmussen crushing it again. And yeah, that's a name to remember when we get to the end of the season and we're back on ovals.
I think Demon was an accurate description. He's got some Ferrucci vibes. He's kind of a checkers or wreckers type for sure. But yeah, definite sleeper oval play.
We're calling him Demon from here on out. We got to write that down.
All right.
Well, there's 2 Christians, so yeah.
Right.
Somebody. You can't have both. There can only be one.
Rasmussen's Inferno. Let's go.
All right. I'm trying to think of something that works the word Danish into there, but I'm coming up empty.
Next time.
Yeah. The Danish Destroyer.
The Danish Destroyer.
Demon.
I don't know. One thing I'll say is he's like one of the only drivers I've watched like get like the full blown neck massage from like I don't know if you've ever seen Angels in the Outfield where the Angels he's giving Himmerly the shoulder. Like Rasmussen gets that done to him before every race. There's just this guy that's just there, and he's got an angel with him right now. Yeah, Angels and Demons, dude. He really is. Like that's like he may be the Da Vinci Code for all we know.
Maybe.
Yeah, worked well enough for a podium at Gateway. So, it's going to be feast or famine. It's kind of. I think he's definitely gotten lucky. He's definitely got an angel on his shoulder. Christopher Lloyd is back there, watching out for him.
That's who it was.
What's on Newgarden's shoulder?
I don't know. Blaney's beard's on his shirt this week. I don't know if you guys saw that or not. He's up here in Toronto repping Ryan Blaney's face on a T-shirt. So I can't wait to get out there. I'll be out there tomorrow morning for practice too. And I'm going to get to hopefully see what other shenanigans he will be pulling out here. Because I feel like Joseph got, and I guess kind of transitioning a little bit into the weekend. I've never been to Canada, by the way. It's my first time in Canada. It's very bright outside. There's just light blown. So it's not a portal. It's just a window. But I'm excited to go check out this event because, like you said, it's the last street course race. But I also know that Newgarden seems like he's got a little more of a pep in his step. I don't know. Like, I mean, for him to come out and do something like that, especially after the season he's been having, maybe that podium is all it took to kind of fix the mindset. And I know Connor was very high on Newgarden this weekend for some reason. So something to look out for, but it seems like his spirits are definitely a little bit better. Just one thing I noticed so far since I've been here.
And he gets another podium if Yellow doesn't hose him towards the end. Like, it wasn't their fault for once.
Right.
And I think that's a big confidence boost, even if the result wasn't there on that second race.
You wouldn't know it from listening to his radio, but I think he's kind of in a better place mentally now. If you watch any of his YouTube content, he was, kind of making light of it with willpower at the end of his latest video. And I don't know. I think he's kind of taken some of the pressure off. I think somebody finally got through to him that, hey, you should have won the second race too. So, it's in the moment, he's heated. He's always going to be that way. But I think he's got some good perspective going forward. I think the monkey is kind of off his back, even if he's still, got this run of bad luck going on.
Could be dangerous.
Nothing to lose now. Season's basically over. Why not?
Yeah.
Just go for wins at this point. Yeah, so turning towards Toronto. It's going to be pretty long up there. You're being pretty far up north. You get some nice long days this time of year. I've been up to Canada, never Toronto, though. Nice this time of year. And let's look at our top tier as we head towards this Toronto weekend. Alex Blow, Scott Dixon, and Pato O'Ward making up our top tier. What is the name of this tier, Ryan?
This is the Harry Wormwood tier. For any Matilda fans out there, there's a scene where the dad starts yelling, "I'm big, you're small, I'm smart, you're dumb." And then these three are like, "I win races and you don't, and there's nothing you can do about it." These three guys have all the way. I mean, Kirkwood has some too, but no one else is winning besides these three for the most part. They're the three most consistent drivers, the best driver. We've had so many up and downs in the salary in this game, and these three have just been up at the top pretty much the whole time. And you can maybe the only three you can count on for consistent finishes for the most part. So this is the Harry Wormwood tier.
Wasn't that Danny DeVito yelling that?
It is.
Interesting that he's yelling, "I'm big, you're small."
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So what are our thoughts about this tier?
I'll start by just saying that I think that there's going to be a lot of value in some lower tiers this weekend. If there was anybody that I would want to touch, if you haven't already set up your line to go out to the end of the race, because I'm pretty sure we're at a point now where you can pick up somebody and ride them out for the end of the season, correct?
5 races to go as of this weekend. 5 races to go. You can lock somebody up the rest of the year if you'd like, and I think Polo is a good choice to do that.
Yeah, I would say, like, if you're just ready to go ahead and lock in and be done and watch and see what happens, Polo is your guy here. If you're going from maybe you want to do you want to swap up some guys for the Oval coming up in Milwaukee, or maybe you're just doing a whole different strategy. I don't know. I would say go Dixon here, a little bit cheaper than Polo, but I do think that Polo is the best option, especially with us only having 5 races left to go. So that's where I would go with it.
You bring up an interesting point, for the long-term play on Polo, because there's something to be said for, he's got to worry about the championship, right? So maybe he doesn't take as many chances, but mathematically he could lock up the championship, and that'll have the opposite effect, because then he's just going for race wins at that point. If he gets to the point where he cannot lose the championship, then all bets are off, and he's, I wouldn't be surprised to see him running a little elbows out.
Like I said at the top of the show, if O'Ward does not have a good day, there's a good chance Paul makes it to where he just has to start every race to finish it out. It's almost out of O'Ward's hands at this point. It's almost out of everyone's hands at this point. The one driver I'm not touching out of this tier is actually Scott Dixon, and that's because he does have a 6th place penalty for an engine change once again, and second time this year. So didn't look great in practice, and we know he's going to have to start a bit further back. And on a street course, that does increase the risk that you get caught up in something, on top of the difficulty of regaining that track position on a tighter circuit. So I'm bearish on Dixon this week. Polo good. O'Ward, hopefully final practice goes a bit better than 7th, which is what he managed today. But O'Ward, an okay choice, and somebody I definitely want to have available for the ovals later in the year. We saw he produced at Iowa quite well. So if we're thinking about contract lengths, 4 races from now is Milwaukee, 5 races is Nashville, whatever you do, I want to have an award available for those two if I don't lock him up for the remaining 5, which is also a viable approach because award's pretty good. He's second in the points.
Interesting call out.
I agree.
I like what you're saying about Dixon, but I am going to completely 180 on that. Dixon's a 4-time winner at Toronto. The only guy who's done it more is Michael Andretti, and he is not on the grid. Probably not in Toronto at all. Some weird political stuff there.
He's definitely not here. I would know. I'm here.
Yeah. So, what you're saying is absolutely correct. Passing is tough. It's a street course. Toronto is, maybe even narrow by street course standards. But for whatever reason, CGR's figured it out. When it comes to making passes around here, let's see. All 4 CGRs kind of qualified pretty poorly last year. Dixon qualified 15th, managed a 3rd place finish. Pelot qualified behind him and finished behind him. So, I think the old dog's got a trick or two that he may not have shared quite yet with Pelot. So I think, given that there's, like a $2 million delta between the two, I got to give it to Scott. And so he's the one I trust here. Pato's kind of still getting outdriven by Lundgaard. So I'm holding off on Pato. He's only beaten Lundgaard on 1 street course this year. That was Detroit, and he only beat him by 1 position. He got 7th when Lundgaard got 8th. So
I don't mind it. Right. The strategy for CGR and Dixon is the big thing that I was thinking about as well with him. But that's if you want to roll the dice. But I think we all can agree that going out for the rest of the season, Pelot's probably the best way to go if you're trying to lock it all up. But to Ben's point, you just can't beat anybody with strategy right now. Other than like the CGR has strategy locked in, like where Andretti has dampers locked in, CGR has strategy locked in. So just wanted to throw that out there. But that's all I have to say about Harry Wormwood. He was kind of a rough guy. He got a hat glued to his head. I remember that.
Any other takes about this tier before we move on?
No, I think most of it's been said. Only looking at Dixon if he qualifies poorly, because then I don't think the 6th place grid drop is as bad. He should still smoke most of the field. But if he qualifies 3rd and it's starting 9th, like, you have to assume the 8 guys in front of him are tough to pass, and you're not getting any overtake points. He should be strong, but he might just not be a play at that price.
You mentioned overtake points. Remember, for all of you newer to the game, the overtake points are based on where they qualify before any grid drops. So if Dixon takes pole and he has to drop to 7th, he's not scoring any overtake points because the overtakes are relative to 1st, not 7th. So just so you're all forewarned about that. So on that note, we'll move on to the 2nd tier, which will be Marcus Armstrong, Santino Ferrucci, Kyle Kirkwood, Colton Herta, and Will Power. And which tier is this?
This is the U2 tier. If you would have told me that these guys would all be at these prices before the season, it would have given me vertigo. And also, if you look at these price changes from Iowa 2, it was a beautiful day for Marcus Armstrong, but for everybody else in this tier, it was Sunday, Bloody Sunday. You see a lot of deep red.
Dog.
I thought the U2 tier meant they were automatically pushed on everyone's lineup.
I just don't think anybody can match Ryan's game. Like, I don't know many people that got game like you have, Ryan. It's good. It's a good thing. Like, I'm right there with you. I was following along, but yeah, in the sports world, man, dude, you got game, bro.
I did try to work in some sort of joke about how they just appear on your phone and appear in your lineup. You can't do anything about it, but I figured it was stretching it a little too far.
Yeah, no, I thought that's where you were going to. I love it. I'll just say this to be quick. I personally don't think Santino belongs in this tier at all. It kind of throws me off to see him there. Marcus Armstrong as well. I mean, but quietly been doing really well. And you can say the same for Santino. But I think that the biggest winners out of this one, it's between Kyle Kirkwood, Colton Herta, and Will Power. And if there's anybody that I want, you go with proven statistics, Kyle Kirkwood, right at 20 million. Bang. I feel like you're going to do really well. We already see what he did in practice. The DFS prop for Colton Herta at 10.5 on Grid Rival. If you don't smash better on that, by the way, I really do think that you might be brain dead. I think that is one of the most incredible lines of the week. So just keep an eye out of that for the DFS side. But I would say it has to be between Herta and Kirkwood, right? I feel like we could all pretty much agree that the Andretti guys in this tier are going to take it.
Andretti on a street horse, sign me up. Give me Kirkwood and give me Herta. And okay, line's 10.5. Interesting to know. Too bad I can't play since I work here. That we're of course referring to the picks game available in 25 states. Give that a look if you're in one of those states. It's a fun game. Pick drivers. Do they finish better or worse in some position? Do they finish better or worse than one another? And it's a real money daily fantasy game. Check that out. And anyway, yeah, Kirkwood and Herta, love them. Power's intriguing if we think Penske's turning it around. I think Armstrong's basically at the ceiling, but Armstrong's 7th in the standings. Like, Armstrong has shown some results. So I think he's been a sleeper all season, basically. Like, we don't think about the guys who are contending for wins so often, but the guys who are showing up in the top 10 every week, showing up in the top 5 some weeks, like, they are quietly pretty good drivers. And he's been beating his teammate, which that's 5 extra points. Yeah, so I think Armstrong is sneaky good, but Kirkwood, Herta, Power, I like all of those guys. I'm not touching Ferrucci here, especially on a street course. I think Ferrucci's probably over the ceiling since we're not on an oval.
Agreed. I don't think anyone should probably have Ferrucci in their lineup. I just don't see a way that it works. He's had a great season, tip of the cap to him, but it's at this price. I mean, and that's a problem with Armstrong too. Armstrong, I believe, is a legitimate threat on this course and should have a strong showing, but he's not better than Kirkwood and Herta, and those guys are both cheaper. So just purely because of the way the prices play out, you have to look at the 2 Andrettis. I think they're both great deals. I think you should try and roster both if you can. I think I lean a little towards Kirkwood just because I trust him more. I think it's a lot more likely Herta ends up in the wall than Kirkwood does. But I mean, Herta's had better results with this track. Like, Herta's been the king of this track over the last, I think, 3 years. So I'll have both of them, but I think I trust Kirkwood a little more, but Herta has the higher ceiling.
Yeah, Kirkwood's been the one who's delivered more this season for Andretti in terms of points, in terms of top 5s, top 10s, victories, obviously.
Can't really blame Herta for most of those, though.
Yeah,
he's been let down more than once by his.
There have been some
pit crew.
Really rough pit stops.
Yeah,
I've got to say, like, that's been the big Achilles heel for Andretti.
A couple bad strategy calls too.
That too. And it feels like this isn't the first year we've been saying that with regards to that team either.
Yeah. Not enough said on the Andretti boys. Armstrong. So just looking at street courses, because realistically, street courses are kind of a different animal compared to the road courses. The permanent road courses, way bumpier. That's kind of where Andretti shines. Everybody knows that. That's chalk. But looking specifically at the street courses this year, Armstrong crashed out at St. Pete. Placed 14th from a 7th place qualifying at Long Beach, and went from 6th to 9th at Detroit. So moving in the wrong direction from qualifying. So, looking strong, but most of his value has been gained recently. If you look at it, Rosenqvist is still ahead of him in the championship points. So Rosenqvist is kind of your steady Eddie, but yeah. And then Ferrucci, I'm not touching at all. It's tempting with his 2nd place in Detroit, the last street course we had, but I find him to be a low percentage play for sure.
That was a caution thing too, from what I can remember. Like that was kind of like he came out kind of right place, right time situation.
Yeah, yellow kind of flipped the field a little bit there. So
it's important to remember that.
And that could happen. That could very well happen this weekend too. But it's hard to count on that. Hard to just pick the guys that are best on the worst strategy that happens to pan out.
Pick who's the luckiest. If only we could do that. You know what, though? At least Ferrucci managed to not get in a fight with Connor Daly last weekend. So
they're actually
he was behind him.
Cool now. They actually might be boys, dude. I don't know.
Right.
Could have happened.
Good to know.
I defer to you on that, but I don't say I believe it.
He said, my best friend. He said they had a talk.
That's my boy.
He said they talked it out. So they may not actually like each other, but like they're on talking terms. I know that much. That's good.
Yeah, that is a good thing. Like, we don't need any wrestling matches breaking out after the race.
Right.
Save that for some other series.
I would take it at this point. We've got a championship already decided. Why not have a little extra spice down in the paddock?
I'll take a pay-per-view.
Like fist throwing. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I would go World Star Hip Hop with it if they would let me. I would.
Well, you're our boots on the ground. You be ready.
Yeah,
I'm going to try to stage a fight. That's what we'll do this weekend. I'm going to try to stage a fight. So you guys let me know which drivers I should try to pin together, and we'll make it work.
Okay. Oh. All right.
I disavow all responsibility for this.
Yeah, Grid Rival does not condone fighting in any sort of way.
I'm going rogue.
Yeah. All right. So third tier. Christian Lugard, Renus VK, and Felix Rosenquist rounding out the drivers above the talent tier. And which tier is this?
These three are the Looned Guardians of the Galaxy. These performances have been out of this world to warrant these salary increases over the past month. And they're also guarding that talent driver eligibility line, keeping those Penske's down below it. So pretty quick discussion here, probably would be my guess. Lundgaard should be good. I think we all think he's probably the best McLaren here. I expect him to outperform Pato at a cheaper price. I do like him a lot. Rosenquist is interesting as well. I'm probably just out on VK. I think he's a little overpriced at this point and don't really love him at this track.
Yeah, I would say the VK hype is the VK coin is kind of in a dip right now. Haven't really seen much of that wow factor that we had earlier in the season with them. And not to say that doesn't exist anymore, but it's just in terms of like true upside, there's so much more going on above this tier and under this tier. I could say the same for Lundgaard as well. Like, there's nothing like super special about Lundgaard on street courses that makes me want to go out of my way to put that amount of money up when I can maybe get a couple of guys underneath them on this tier in the talent driver category. And with Felix Rosenquist, like Ben was saying, he's kind of Mr. Consistent, steady Eddie. Like, that's really not what I want. Like, I don't want steady Eddie this week. I want somebody that's either going to rocket ship to the front or get up front and stay up front. So I'm out on all three of these guys.
Yeah, I didn't start any of these guys in my 100 mil. I did think pretty long and hard about Christian Lundgaard, though. He is the fastest McLaren. Pretty hard to argue with that. Maybe ovals, he's still struggling, but this is not an oval. So, and you can't ignore the fact that he won here 2 years ago, his one and only INDYCAR win. So, and that was in, hate to say it, inferior equipment. So now he's in a faster car at a track he's won at. I was very tempted to run with him. I think if he fits in your lineup and you're unable to afford some of the other options we mentioned earlier, I think he's a solid pick for sure. VK, I don't envision a world where I could ever pay $18.4 million for a Dale Coyne car.
Right.
That's rough. That's
not happening.
Yeah. I'm not the most risk averse guy in the world, but that's just too much for me.
That's a passion play. We'll leave it there.
Yeah. Yeah. There's some Nancy Kerrigan stuff going on if somebody's betting big on a Coyne car.
We think they're going to go slash somebody's tires.
Something. I don't know.
Shout out Tanya.
I don't know what they got going on up in the Great White North.
Oh boy. Yeah, this is
mean
just
streets.
I think we see this almost every week. These guys just above 18. It's just a challenging tier to kind of handicap, and it's hard to fit into lineup construction because for the most part, you're looking at guys who are a little more expensive with a lot more upside, or you're looking at guys who are a couple $1 million cheaper and talent driver eligible, and you can save a little more money. So these guys are always just in an awkward spot. I think Lundgaard is rosterable. The other two I will probably be passing on.
Same here. Yeah. Lundgaard's the most takeable. I think Rosenquist is going to get beat by his teammate, who is only a couple million more. And I'm with Ben. I am never taking a Dale Coyne car at this price. I'm just not. All right, so let's get into talent driver territory, shall we? Oh, yeah. I think this will be the most interesting tier. We've got Joseph Newgarden, Scott McLaughlin, two Penske's talent eligible once again. Alexander Rossi, Kevin Simpson, Christian Rasmussen, and David Malukas. Which tier is this?
This is the kid playing Minesweeper tier. Always loved Minesweeper on the computers, as a family computer as a kid. I obviously didn't understand any of the rules, so you just like clicking the buttons, seeing the numbers, and all of a sudden the bomb blows up, and like, you can only get so far just clicking around like an idiot. But it was really fun, but also ended up being extremely frustrating. I think some of these bottom guys might be those first couple of clicks where you're like, ooh, we're getting somewhere. And then those Penske's are just the way that they've been, like, there you click the bomb and you explode. And you're just like, what the hell? So it's the kid playing Minesweeper, just like kind of like a drunken idiot type of thing.
Penske's kind of been the first click bomb last few races.
Yeah,
Iowa notwithstanding.
The first click too, like that's a scratch off of a game right there. I would say out of this tier, if there's anybody I'm looking at, Scott McLaughlin, he did really well in practice here. He comes from this type of a discipline, from the supercars world. So I tend to always want to lean towards him when we go to street courses. It just doesn't seem like it plays out. Maybe he's a little too aggressive. Maybe there's something where just like the strategy doesn't play, but you want to feel like that bubble is going to pop sooner rather than later. I can remember like Scotty Mack battling in the streets of Nashville like 2 years ago. Just an incredible run. So I don't know if in the current landscape of Penske that you want to go that direction, but I think out of the two, it's a tough call for me. Like with Newgarden and McLaughlin being the same price, I feel like just grab which one you like the most and go. Aside from that, if you're looking for a little bit of value, I think when you look at strategy and how strategy's been playing out this year, it's hard to ignore Kiffin Simpson at 15.4. I feel like out of all of the other drivers underneath this tier, there's not as much of that edge, and Kiffin's kind of been like a little bit of a plug and play carrier for lineups. So I do like Kiffin at 15.4, and I would say flip a coin for Newgarden or McLaughlin. And other than that, that's really all I'm looking at in this tier.
Yeah, so in this tier, so my 100 million lineup actually had Newgarden before practice. I wrote it up before. After practice, I've switched to McLaughlin just because his time was considerably better. Both of these drivers are potentially viable. We'll see how final practice looks if Newgarden's looking any better. If not, then McLaughlin's the clear choice. Looking at the rest of this tier, the one thing I'll say for Rossi is that Toronto has already gone better than last year, where he broke his thumb on Friday and missed the race, which thankfully he avoided that fate this week. Unfortunately, the car's still not very good. And
Friday's not over either. Friday's not over either. We could have some kind of poutine related incident.
Yeah, poutine. That's some dangerous stuff for sure. Anyway, I am totally out on ECR this weekend. They haven't looked good in practice, and so I'm not touching him or Rasmussen. Kiffin Simpson, I don't really trust to keep the car in one piece, honestly, and I think he is approaching the ceiling. He's taken a big step forward this year. Never mind practice earlier today. But I think Simpson's fairly near the ceiling. I think that there's going to be better choices. And I do think he's maybe slightly more crash prone than some of these other guys. And then Malukas is like, look at the practice time. It's like, maybe viable. Malukas has had a decent year, and maybe he's a surprise at this price point. Maybe he does have a good day and scores himself some points. I don't know the improvement number for him. I don't know where he starts scoring improvement points, but maybe Malukas is one of those sneaky value plays as we get towards the end of the part of the year where we're thinking about gaining money and not just outright gaining points. So yeah, maybe the two Penske's depends on practice. McLaughlin definitely, Newgarden maybe, Malukas maybe. I'm out on anybody else.
Yep, I'm falling right back into the Penske trap. Scott McLaughlin, welcome to the team. Maybe you can win this race, or more likely you'll probably go off in turn 1 of lap 1. Well, it's just again, I've broken record, right? Like, this is a good price, good driver, good car, should do well here, but somehow never seems to come to fruition. But I just can't. Like, I've committed at this point. I'll pass on Newgarden, I think, unless I see something in further practice session. But yeah, McLaughlin is on the team, and I'm ready to be hurt again.
Sign me up for pain.
There we go.
Pain. Yeah, I'm not high on this tier at all, really. I'm fading Penske this week, unfortunately. They definitely seem to be turning a corner, but they struggled pretty bad last year after qualifying well. So they qualified 4th, 7th, and 9th, finished 11th, 12th, 16th, and once again, that's the wrong direction. So not a great recipe for grid rival points. So
that was when they were hot too.
Yeah, that was well before any of the current, curse or whatever you want to call it that's going on right now. So that's barring all of that, they still went backwards. So not a great look. Rossi, not a fan of Toronto. Like you said, he missed out last year. So already up, but Kiff Dog. I like Kiff Dog. He's the one play out of this tier that I can kind of get behind. Looking at Detroit last street race, 19th to 5th, and obviously had some yellow help, as did everyone who had a good result. But that's still pretty impressive. And Detroit, I would say is a much higher attrition track than Toronto. So if you can make it through there and land in 5th, I have some confidence that he can make it to the end. I get what you're saying about not trusting him to make it to the end, but I don't know. I have a good feeling about it. And Chip Ganassi racing car at this price, tough to pass up on.
How scared are we about 23rd in practice?
Not really at all. I feel like they'll figure it out. I think it's mainly like and I'm sorry to interrupt, but I trust their strategy program way too much. And the more that I've looked into it with the understanding that he's learning from Dixon and Pillow, and they're using all that data, they're gathering that together. I mean, they just if a yellow comes out, they're figuring out how to play that in real time. So I mean, that right there alone is already a huge advantage, and so that's why I feel confident in it.
I think also rolling off the truck, one of the big question marks was the green tires, the alternate stickier tire this week. That's kind of been an issue this year. Really, really big issue at St. Pete and Long Beach. It was just completely undrivable. So I think practice 1, I think for a lot of teams, and don't quote me on this specifically regarding Kiff Dog, but I know a lot of teams were putting some heavy miles on the green tire just to try and get a sense of what it was going to do. There's talk right now that it may not even be the preferred tire for qualifying. Generally your alternate tire is always going to be well faster for qualifying for 1-2 laps. But there's guys talking about running the black tire for qualifying. So,
and these green tires, they're different than the red tires that we see at the road courses, right? These are still the Guayule tires.
Guayule compound just on the sidewall. So the actual, not tread, but the contact surface is the same kind of formulation of rubber. But yeah, there's several. So we don't have as much info as you have in F1 with Pirelli, the C, whatever, C2 through 9 or whatever it is. But there are multiple different compounds. So it's not like there's 3 tires, black, red, and green. The green tire that we're having this week may or may not be the same green tire we had at Detroit or Long Beach or St. Pete. But we do know overall they wanted to kind of increase the delta between the two, the black and the green on street courses. IndyCar requested that of Firestone. Firestone delivered, but they went a little too far. Seems to be that they didn't really take into account the added weight of the hybrid. So expect those to fall off. Earlier in the season, there was a rule change that made it so that you had to run both the green and the black tires twice during a race. I don't think that's the case. At least I haven't heard that going into this week.
I think that was a one-time experiment.
Yeah. But see, it did kind of spice up the racing a little bit. As a spectator, I enjoyed it.
Was that the Indy road course that it was like black and red twice?
Yeah, that was Indy GP.
Green.
Yeah,
so same idea.
Yeah, so I expected them to try that again later in the year, but they definitely the main part of the criticism was that they didn't give teams enough time to kind of strategize around that. So we definitely would have heard about that 2-3 weeks ago if they were going to do that again this week. So, but still, it's going to be kind of a race to see who. Or that's going to be a main component of the strategy is when do you run the green tire? How soon do you get off of it? Or, do you try to run a full stint on it? That may be one of the kind of alternate strategies this year is, while the leaders are just going to run their 2 required laps and get off them immediately. Some of the teams further back in the order might be trying to run a full stint to avoid taking an unnecessary pit stop.
So those 2 laps have to be green flag laps?
Yes, 2 green flag laps on the green tires.
Yeah. So kind of rules out the thinking of start on the greens and then maybe something happens in turn 1 and you get rid of them right away. Not so lucky.
Well, so that was a big decider at St. Pete because some people, the temptation is to start on the greens because yes, they do have more grip right away, but they fall off very soon after that. So there were quite a few people who did start. I think if I remember right, Newgarden got kind of hosed by that one. He started on the greens, immediately got off the greens. Or no, that was Long Beach. I don't know. That's how the curse got him. That's how the curse got him at one of these races. I know is that he tried to start the race on greens, immediately get off of them. But I want to say the yellow came out behind him. So that now was not a green flag lap anymore. Something like that. It's tricky. So, it's always a gamble, pitting under green to get rid of tires and when you don't need the fuel. But we're gonna see some weird strategy calls.
All right. So on to the next tier, I think, as we got about 15 minutes left. If you got questions in the chat, be sure to get them in. Hope you're enjoying this. Hit like if you're enjoying it. Hit subscribe if you want to find out every time we're doing one of these shows. We tend to do these before every IndyCar race and every Formula One race. That'll be back next week as well. On to our 5th tier. We've got Connor Daly, Graham Rahal, Nolan Siegel, Marcus Ericsson, Robert Schwartzman, and Louis Foster. And which tier is this?
This is the gravy train tier. Ben already brought up poutine, which is perfect because that's kind of what this tier is. This is like the poutine gravy train tier. sounds like it's extremely disgusting. It actually is pretty good. For those of you unaware, it's fries, cheese curds, and gravy all just slopped together. So Chase better be getting some when he's up in Toronto.
Yeah, I've never had it.
There you go.
I'm a fan of poutine.
It's very good, and I think like one of these drivers in here is going to have a great day. And if you have them on, if you have them in your lineup, it's probably going to spur you over the top. But with poutine, you have the risk of not feeling so great afterwards. So some of these guys are going to be duds for sure. It's just trying to figure out which is which, and it's a very tough tier, I think, to separate a couple of these guys from the others. So it'll be very interesting to see how people attack these in their lineup.
Got to figure out who gives the bubble gut. So looking here, I would just start off by saying the one I feel like the main guy that everyone's going to look to in this tier is Marcus Ericsson. Regardless that he's had a bad year, because of his team and because of what Andretti can bring to the table, he seems like the ultimate value play, right? Or could this be the ultimate trap? I want to genuinely get your thoughts on Ericsson.
It's probably trappy, but at the same time, you look at the rest of these names in this tier, their cars that they're like, he should have the Andretti should be the best car on Sunday. That's what I'd expect at least. And he has shown that he can show up in some of these races, even though it hasn't been a great season. I just think that you are banking on some past performance here. And I just trust it a little more than I do any of these other guys. But yeah, I don't love it. But if I had to pick someone from this tier, it's Ericsson, just based on all of that other stuff.
Pour the purple drink. It's trap.
Trap?
It's trap. I am poutine this entire tier in the trash. I don't trust any of them. Connor, love him. He's an oval specialist, and that is not an insult. That is a compliment. Graham Rahal. I looked at the numbers, they're kind of starting to turn it around, but not so much on street courses. It's more of a permanent road course thing, and it's hit or miss. You could argue that their turnaround isn't actually happening at all. Nolan Siegel, didn't like him before. I certainly don't like him with a head injury. Let's see. Marcus Ericsson. So I get what you're saying. He's the most accomplished driver on this list by far, right? He's in an Andretti car. Andretti's are, they're a freight train around this place. But he's only got one top 10 this season.
And he practiced 21st in practice today too.
Yeah, let that sink in. His average finish this year is 17.7. Yeah. So, and even going back to last year, his first year with Andretti, at Toronto, he got 18th worst finish of Andretti, while his teammates got first and second. So, yeah, it's a trap. It's a big name. Shiny golden hair. He's F1 pedigree. I get it. But the smart play is I think to avoid him.
Yeah. So, I'm with you. A daily oval guy. Not this week. Milwaukee. I'm signing him up for the rest of the year once we get to Milwaukee. I'm not very bullish on Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan as a whole. So if that's going to rule out Rahal, Siegel was off the pace in practice, and I don't think the results have really been all that there on the street courses. Just looking that up now, Siegel has done really nothing on the street courses, sadly. So that's going to be a tough sell. Ericsson, I was just pulling the same number you did. One top 10. He top 10'd at St. Petersburg, which is a street course, and he's done absolutely nothing since then. And there's only been 2 retirements in there, and the snafu at Indy. It's been a very disappointing year for Ericsson. Schwartzman, and he's still a rookie. Like I like Iwata a lot better, who's in the next tier if we want a Prima car. I think I like Foster the best just because he has surprised a few times. If I'm going to take anybody out of this tier, which I might for the $100 million lineup, I might take somebody from this tier. But yeah, otherwise, I'm pretty bearish on this whole tier.
Yeah, Foster feels like the guy who's most likely, if you don't watch qualifying and you just pull up the starting grid and you're like, oh, this guy's fifth. Like, I feel like Foster's maybe the only guy who can do that in this tier. And then back to defending the Ericsson pick, I just think that the way the prices have kind of fluctuated out here, there's not much under him that's great in terms of the value department. And at 13.2, he's a risk I'm willing. It's easier to take a flyer on 13.2 than like totally different discussion if he's 17. So I just think it's at the price it works out, and I trust him a little more than these other guys, despite the horrific results this year.
I feel like he's going to be like, if he doesn't have a problem, he's probably last car in the lead lap. That's probably where he is, the way this year's gone.
If I'm taking a flyer on anybody, I'm taking a flyer on Louis Foster.
Just hope you don't bang that suspension on that wall. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Hopefully his A-arm doesn't just magically come unbolted.
Right.
Yeah, that was not fun. But yeah, I looked up Siegel on street courses 25th, 20th, and 19th this year. So not loving that. But yeah, I was listening to a little bit of radio during practice. Louis Foster was heated. He was mad at his team. I think though he was out there on greens and just couldn't get him to work. But yeah, he was pretty pissed. They were like, "Oh, well, do you want a wing change?" It's like, "No, I don't want a wing change. The tires don't work. Tires fell off. They're already gone." Like, but he's talented. He's easily the most talented rookie in the field, and so just by that rationing alone, he's got great upside. So I've kind of run with him before and regretted it, but he is not in my 100 mil lineup. But there was a permutation of this lineup where he was there. So there's, I believe.
What do you think, Brian?
Sorry, what?
What do you think?
Foster's good. Ericsson's fine. I don't have much on this tier other than kind of what I said earlier. I don't really want any of them, but if I need to fill somebody out at the bottom of the lineup, it's Ericsson and Foster exclusively.
All right. On to the final tier then. We have Callum, Iwat, Jacob Abel, Stingray, Rob, and Devlin D. Francesco. I can barely say his name. Which tier is this?
This is a Zamboni driver calling his friend before he goes to the bar tier. So... Oh, this is so bad. I don't even want to say it on air. But so Zamboni driver wants to go out to the bar and drink that night. He's got his buddy, so he's like, "Oh, I gotta call him." He goes, "What do you mean you're not able to DD? That stings." So we worked all four drivers' names into that story, and that was actually I obtained exclusive transcripts from the phone log of that Zamboni guy that got a DUI up in Canada, which is still one of the most funny stories I've ever heard.
He did all this without AI. He did it all without AI. This is Ryan.
That sounds so Canadian.
Yeah, so that was him giving his buddy a call, working on all the drivers' names. It was a really stupid story, but I figured might as well tell a funny story because I don't think there's much to say about these four guys who probably will look like they're driving Zambonis around the track up in Toronto.
Except for Callum Ilott, he really surprised me in practice today. I know William was ready to talk about him, and then you had an interesting stat about DiFrancesco.
Yeah, so I was reading on Twitter last week. So Devlin DiFrancesco apparently now has the record for most starts without a top 10, a record previously held by Milka Duno, who lost her license because she was all over the track and almost got in a fight with Danica Patrick one time. Yeah, his name is now alongside that of Milka Duno, one of the more notable spots of the IRL era, shall we say?
Illustrious company. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to think you don't want your name mentioned in the same sentence.
Yeah.
No,
so
their headshots. We're gonna put it in a little trophy room.
I would love a photo op with the two of them.
I wonder how the size of the check compares between the two of them.
Right.
Anyway,
that they're writing or that they're paid?
That they're writing. Juno was funded by Hugo Chavez, basically.
Yeah, the Colombian era of INDYCAR.
Venezuelan. Venezuela.
Well, okay, but that was Carlos Huerta. You know, there were 4 Colombians during that period. So
yeah, and like Montoya was actually good though.
True.
If we're talking about Colombian drivers, Montoya was actually good.
Yeah, but then the 2 Carloses and who was I can't remember the 4th. I know there were 4, but yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I like Iwat in this tier. Like if I'm taking anybody in this tier, I like Iwat. Looked okay in practice. Like his results, like he's been outperforming the Prima equipment in recent weeks. Like had problems in both Iowa races, but like if you're going to take anybody from this tier, I like Callum Iwat. I don't see Abel beating his teammate Renus VK, who's worth like 10 million more. Stingray Rob's trailer was on fire after the race last weekend, so there's that. That might be a sign of something. Yeah, I actually passed a racing hauler when I drove back from Vegas last week. I passed an IMSA hauler, like the Scuderia Corsa. They were not on fire, notably.
Good.
That's good.
Good to know.
Yeah, and then for DiFrancesco, well, we just shared a stat about DiFrancesco. I'm not touching DiFrancesco. I like Iwat, though. Any other thoughts?
I think he's the only guy. I think you covered it pretty well, unless Chase or Ben have anything else, but it's Iwat and not even considering the other 3.
Yeah, I think another possible name for this tier would be the Caught at Coldplay tier.
Oh God.
This is
Coldplay?
Yeah.
Explain.
Google.
I'm lost. Google.
It's you must not have been on Twitter yet today.
There's something that's gone pretty viral recently.
Yeah.
From a Coldplay concert.
I didn't get it.
Yeah. So
shout out to Ventura Capital or whatever the company's called.
Yeah, which it's interesting though. So with IndyCar, we have some very capable drivers who are like hovering around talent driver eligibility. You don't have to dumpster dive like you often do in our F1 game. Like it's not quite as top heavy with IndyCar. So going into the $100 million lineups with a couple minutes we have left, I'll run through mine real quick. I have Marcus Armstrong, Kyle Kirkwood, Colton Herta, Scott McLaughlin, talent driver, Willie Foster, and Callum Iwat for a total of $98.6 million.
Okay. My lineup this week, I have Alex Below, Scott Dixon, Kyle Kirkwood, Colton Herta, Marcus Erickson, and Louis Foster. But my team value is like $119,000. So
that's not a $100 million lineup. That's like your actual lineup, which sounds like a good lineup. That sounds like a good lineup.
It's a pretty sexy lineup. I will say, I'll let you guys go. I'm going to find it. I wrote it down. I have it here.
98.3 million. I may have overspent here, but we'll see. I'm backing Scott Dixon, the GOAT. Then I've got Kyle Kirkwood and Herta. Got to do it. Kiffin Simpson.
Kiffin System, dude.
Yeah, the Kiffin System. Yeah. I mean, he's already Kiff Dog, so and then I had to dumpster dive a little bit. I've got Iwat and Abel because that's all I could fit.
Okay, so we got a little divergence going. That should be interesting to compare numbers next week.
Yeah, I'm up to my elbows in the poutine that I threw in the trash because I forgot I had to get a couple drivers out of there.
Yeah, you can't put an entire tier in the trash and then take 2 of them in your lineup.
What you got, Chase?
Don't tell me what I can't do.
So here's the lineup. The $100 million lineup: Kyle Kirkwood, Colton Herta, Scott McLaughlin, Dave Malukas, Kiffin Simpson, and Louis Foster.
All right, everyone. So
is it too late to change mine?
Tune in next week when Kirkwood and Herta both DNF up in Toronto, and we scored 0
we've
points.
just all jinxed them collectively. How about you, Ryan? Any thoughts about the $100 million?
Give me the 2 Andretti's. Give me actually all 3 Andretti's. Why not? I did the triple Penske stack in Iowa.
I told you why not.
Stack here in Toronto. All right, we'll see how it plays out. You have 2 of them. I just added a 3rd from the poutine tier. It's fine. And then I don't know. I'll fill it out with the rest of some other cheap guys or whatever. My lineups stink anyway, so
there you have it.
I don't want to mislead any of the viewers.
Let's turn it around with Marcus Erickson this weekend.
I think Erickson had us.
Erickson will finish top 10. We'll say that.
I'm gonna pray
for a top 10 finish out of Erickson.
Love to see it, but I don't know.
He'll beat Dixon.
That's a take.
That's bold. Clip that out.
Okay, he's
and we'll only
Marcus
show it if
Harrison
it happens.
better than Scott Dixon.
We're gonna just send you this video every week of your life now when you're wrong. Just remind.
All right.
Well, I'm not wrong very often, so it's okay.
It'll be our new intro.
Watch it too often.
Make good cheers. I don't want to be mean to Ryan. He's the go to cheers, dude.
I think it's been an hour, and what an hour it's been. So thank you all for watching. Be sure and join us next week. Laguna Seca, we may see the championship clinched, depending on how things go. Nice road course out in California, historic venue. Can't wait to see that race. Can't wait to see this race in Toronto this weekend. Hope you all enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching.
Bye, everyone.
So long.
All right, we're off. We are ended. Stream is ended.
All right, fellas.